is an engineer has to sign it off, not just an electrician. So the electrician is signing off all the normal stuff. The engineer is signing off from the panels down to the batteries and the inverter. All the low voltage stuff, the stuff with high amperage that can cause fires. Okay, low voltage is high amperage. Okay, that arcing story, they've got massive insurance, and so that covers if there's a fault. So you have to get an engineer involved. Then the engineer submits to the City of Cape Town a permission to install request. We did some, I'm even getting the years confused because that's how long it's taken. But like in March 1 year and in August the next year, it got approved. Okay, more than a year to get a permission to install. Nobody's waiting for the City of Cape Town to do that. They're just going and putting it in. The problem is if City of Cape Town see you've got an operating solar system, they will come and make you disconnect it. They'll give you approximately a 6,800 Rand fine and make you disconnect the solar. You can keep the inverter, but you can't have the panels connected until that permission is granted, and we'll get more into that now. Then eventually the council approves it, and then you can go and put it in. But in the height of load shedding, who's going to wait a year for permission to install? Everybody's just putting them in. And so there was a massive backlog, and the city's now got an online system which is much better, and it is catching up, but it's still a little bit behind, quite a bit behind. Then after they approve it, you can put it in, but you can't commission it yet until the engineer has signed off. You've got your COC from the installation for the electrical. You submit that to council, and then council give permission to commission, which means to switch on the solar, and then you're done. You get paid. That's what's supposed to happen. In most cases, the application is not even going through to the City of Cape Town. And so in these rental agreements, you read it, and it actually says, we will post-installation register the city. Every one we've done, they haven't even submitted documents. Okay, so what happens now if your buyer buys a house? Now, there's a couple of scenarios here. Let's say the installation was done perfectly. There's nothing wrong with that solar installation. They've got a COC, but they didn't register it with the city. So you've got your COC, you've got our COC, everything goes through. Buyer moves in. City of Cape Town guys working on the pole and says, oh, you guys have a solar system. So they get the inspector out and says, this is not registered with the city. Your buyer's just paid for the solar system, and now he's got to have it disconnected. And he's got to get a COC to say that it's been disconnected, and he cannot reconnect it until that permission is granted, which could take 6 months to a year, depending on how busy they are. Not going to have a happy buyer. But it can only get worse from there. That's if the job was done properly. What if it wasn't done properly? But they've got a certificate, so we're not covering the solar now. We've issued our certificate, or somebody else has issued the certificate for the main property. But the solar certificate is questionable because the installation hasn't been done right. Now they want the City of Cape Town come and switch them off. So they don't go back to the original installer because they can't find him anymore. They get another company like the one we are using, and they find 65,000 Rands worth of faults in the solar system. Now they've got 65,000 Rand to pay. They've got a fine from City of Cape Town. They have to wait before they can switch it back on for everything to be done and registered. Can you see the potential problem? So I don't have a solution for all these problems, but we need to think about them and advise this. The buyer needs to know that that system's not registered and take responsibility for it, like they would if there was a waiver, if there's a big renovation. At least they know. Many homes, believe, are charging a premium because they're almost off-grid with electricity. So now maybe they're paying an extra 1 or 2% for this house because of the big solar system. But if it's not registered and they can't use it, or it's going to cost them later to fix it, then it's not really a benefit. That the seller should not be charging, or the property price should not be including that, or at least they must sign a waiver or something to acknowledge it. So the people we are working with on these certificates have an engineer, they issue the certificate, and they start the process of registering it with the city. Even if it's not completed by the time the sale goes through, at least it's in the pipeline. And the buyer knows that everything's been paid attention to. Okay.